a young boy named Benjie, living a quiet and innocent life with his loving father. One crisp autumn evening, as golden leaves fall from the trees outside, Benjie eagerly awaits his father's return. He has no idea that this night will alter his life in unimaginable ways. Hours pass, and the excitement fades as Benjie realizes his father is not coming home on time. Concern and fear take hold as shadows grow long, and a haunting silence fills the house. Benjie tries to reassure himself, but his heart races with dread. Then, in the dead of night, Benjie hears a sudden commotion outside. With a trembling heart, he peeks through a crack in his bedroom door, only to witness a horrific sight. His father is being attacked by an unknown figure. He's frozen with fear as he watches, powerless, as his father is struck down before his very eyes. The world around him shatters, leaving him in a daze of grief and confusion. In the wake of the tragedy, Benjie is left all alone, engulfed by a pain so profound it almost consumes him. Yet, in the midst of this sorrow, something strange and inexplicable begins to happen. His mind starts picking up faint whispers, stray thoughts, and fleeting emotions from those around him. He discovers he can hear people's thoughts, a phenomenon that at first frightens him, but eventually becomes a gift he learns to live with. This newfound ability brings him insights and glimpses into the inner worlds of others, yet it also isolates him, burdening him with secrets he never asked for. This curse of hearing others' inner voices leaves Benjie feeling more alone than ever. Years pass, and life carries on. Benjie, now a young man, has adapted to his extraordinary ability. He's learned to control it to an extent, but the toll it has taken on his emotional life is significant. While he can hear the voices and thoughts of others, he remains disconnected, unable to form close relationships for fear that his gift will make it impossible for him to lead a normal life. Meanwhile, across the city, Annabel, a brilliant and determined young woman, is building a career as a public defender. Known for her unwavering dedication to justice, Annabel is no stranger to hardship and loss. She has long carried the memory of a traumatic night when she was called to testify about a murder she had witnessed. That moment marked her path, filling her with a fierce resolve to stand up for justice. Annabel has worked hard to become a public defender, standing as a beacon of hope for those who have suffered like the young boy she once helped, unaware that her testimony played a pivotal role in Benjie's life. One day, fate intervenes. Benjie, in search of closure, locates Annabel, the woman who testified in his father's case. He decides to approach her to thank her, but he is uncertain about how she might react. As he finally gathers the courage to meet her, he's taken aback by the intensity of her presence. Annabel is not only formidable in her intelligence and resolve, but she has an inner vulnerability he can sense, one that resonates with his own pain. When they speak, an unexplainable connection forms between them, something neither of them has experienced before. Annabel, at first skeptical of Benjie's intentions, finds herself strangely drawn to him. There's a depth to his eyes, a haunting maturity she can't quite place. Benjie can sense her empathy and kindness through her thoughts, and in that brief interaction, he feels a sense of solace he hasn't felt in years. As their meetings continue, Benjie and Annabel begin to open up to each other. Benjie, who has carried the burden of his father's death alone for so long, finally finds someone who listens without judgment. He shares stories of his isolation, the pain of knowing other people's inner struggles, and the challenge of living with a gift that often feels like a curse. Annabel, deeply moved by his vulnerability, listens with a compassion that brings them even closer. She encourages him to see his gift as something that can be used for good, rather than something that defines him as different. Their shared moments become a sanctuary for both of them. For Annabel, who has spent her life defending others, Benjie's vulnerability brings out her protective instincts. She is fascinated by his ability, marveling at how he can sense emotions and thoughts that people hide. As the days pass, her initial curiosity turns into admiration, and she begins to feel a connection that is far deeper than she anticipated. However, their relationship is not without obstacles. Annabel starts receiving anonymous threats, unsettling letters left at her door, unsettling voicemails, and even a few ominous incidents where she feels she is being followed. Although she tries to brush it off, Benjie is immediately concerned, his instincts kicking in. He can sense the danger lurking around her, and he becomes fiercely protective. Despite Annabel's independent nature, she allows him to stay close, recognizing that his presence gives her an unexpected sense of security. Benjie and Annabel delve into finding the source of these threats. At first, Annabel is reluctant, insisting that she can handle the situation on her own, but Benjie's determination is unwavering. He is committed to ensuring her safety, driven by the same sense of duty and gratitude that brought him to her in the first place. As they work together, Benjie's mind-reading abilities become invaluable, allowing them to pick up on subtle hints and connections others would have missed. Their investigation takes them down a dark path, one that dredges up painful memories of Benjie's past. He begins to suspect that the threats against Annabel are connected to the unresolved trauma of his father's murder, a suspicion that gnaws at him as more clues surface. For the first time, Benjie realizes that he might have to confront his past head-on, facing not only the pain of his father's death, but also the possibility that the same person who hurt his family might be targeting Annabel to get to him. Amid the tension and danger, Benjie and Annabel's bond deepens further. They find themselves relying on each other, not only for protection but also for emotional support. In Annabel's presence, Benjie feels a warmth and safety he hasn't known since childhood. Annabel, too, feels an undeniable connection to him. A man who, despite his mysterious abilities, seems to understand her more deeply than anyone ever has. As they face the shadows together, Annabel becomes aware of Benjie's incredible gift. She's both awed and unsettled by the power he holds, struggling to comprehend how someone so young could endure such a burden. Yet, she also sees the strength in him, a resilience born from pain, and it touches her heart. She realizes that Benjie, despite everything he has gone through, remains kind, gentle, and fiercely protective, a quality that only draws her closer to him. Together, they stand at the threshold of a dark and complex mystery, unsure of what lies ahead but certain of one thing: they will face it together, come what may. In the wake of their investigation, Benjie and Annabel spend more time together, each finding comfort and understanding in the other's presence. For Benjie, Annabel is a calming force, a grounding energy that allows him to feel seen beyond his gift. Yet, as much as he tries to keep his heart guarded, he finds himself drawn to her strength, her warmth, and the glimmers of vulnerability she reveals when they're alone. One evening, they sit on a park bench under the soft glow of streetlights, sharing a quiet moment away from the chaos that seems to follow them. Benjie, caught in the tender silence, suddenly hears Annabel's thoughts. "I wish I could protect him from all the pain he's endured." Her compassion is overwhelming, and he can no longer hold back. He reaches out, gently taking her hand, and confesses the growing feelings he has for her. Annabel, though taken aback, is moved by his honesty. She has felt the same connection, a bond that is far stronger than anything she's known. Yet, a part of her is wary, unsure if she can allow herself to fall for someone so entangled with her past. Still, as they look into each other's eyes, a silent promise is made. They agree to take things slow, but deep down, both know that this connection is something rare and precious. Just as things seem to fall into place, a chilling event shakes their fragile peace. Annabel receives another threat, this time, a handwritten letter left inside her apartment. The note is a chilling warning, hinting that her life and Benjie's are in grave danger. With her heartbeat racing, she tries to stay calm, knowing that whoever is targeting her is growing bolder. Benjie, sensing her fear before she even shares the letter with him, becomes more protective. He vows to keep her safe, determined to uncover who is behind these threats. They review every possible clue, every moment from her past cases that might have led to this danger. But the deeper they dig, the more they realize that this isn't just about Annabel's past. It's about Benjie's too. He begins to suspect that the person behind these threats knows about his father's murder and may even be connected to it. As they work together to uncover the truth, Benjie's gift becomes a powerful tool. He uses his ability to read the thoughts of people they interview, piecing together bits of information that others overlook. Annabel, once skeptical of his gift, is now awestruck by the insights it brings. She feels a growing admiration for him, amazed by how he's managed to carry such a heavy burden with grace. But with each new discovery, Benjie's fear for Annabel's safety grows. His protective instincts clash with his desire to let her be independent, but Annabel reassures him. She is no stranger to danger, and for the first time, she's willing to face it not just for justice, but for the man who has come to mean so much to her. Their investigation leads them to an old acquaintance of Benjie's father, a man named Richard, who owns a quiet bar on the outskirts of the city. Richard, upon seeing Benjie, is visibly shaken, his face haunted by memories. He agrees to speak with them, but his words are cryptic, filled with half-truths and evasions. As they press him for answers, Benjie uses his gift to tune into Richard's thoughts. He hears fragments of hidden memories, a shadowy figure, whispered threats, and a deal gone wrong. Richard's mind is a tangle of fear and guilt, suggesting that he knows more about Benjie's father's death than he's willing to admit. Annabel steps in, her calm but commanding presence easing Richard's defenses. She asks him why he's afraid, assuring him that they're only after the truth. Richard finally breaks down, admitting that Benjie's father had uncovered something dangerous, a corrupt scheme involving powerful figures. He had refused to stay silent, and that refusal cost him his life. The revelation leaves Benjie reeling. All his life, he had believed his father's death was a random act of violence, but now he realizes it was a calculated act to silence him. The weight of this knowledge is almost too much to bear, but with Annabel by his side, he feels a renewed determination to seek justice. As they continue to search for answers, Annabel and Benjie's bond deepens. Their connection is no longer something they can deny, and each moment spent together strengthens the love blossoming between them. Yet, their happiness is tinged with the knowledge that danger is ever present. Annabel's dedication to finding the truth about Benjie's father leads her to uncover more disturbing connections, and with each new piece of information, they draw closer to the enemy lurking in the shadows. One evening, as they're returning home, they're attacked by an unknown assailant. Benjie instinctively shields Annabel, using his heightened awareness to anticipate the attacker's moves. They manage to escape unharmed, but the close call leaves them shaken, realizing that their lives are hanging by a thread. That night, as they sit together, Benjie opens up about his fears. He admits that he's terrified of losing Annabel, that he couldn't bear it if something happened to her because of him. Annabel, her heart aching, reassures him. She tells him that she would rather face danger with him than live in safety without him. They share a deep, emotional moment, one that cements their commitment to each other. Yet, even as they cling to each other, they both know that their fight is far from over. The truth they seek is entangled with people who have the power to destroy lives, and they will have to be stronger than ever if they are to survive. As Benjie and Annabel inch closer to the heart of the mystery, the stakes grow higher, and the sense of looming danger intensifies. Late one night, Annabel receives a cryptic message from an anonymous number, warning her to stop the investigation if she values her life. Unnerved but undeterred, she shares the message with Benjie. His worry deepens as he realizes that their every move is likely being watched. Determined to protect Annabel, Benjie uses his gift to gather subtle information from those they encounter, hoping to find any hidden connections to his father's death and the threats Annabel has received. They both know that backing down isn't an option, but the pressure weighs heavily on their relationship, especially as the line between protector and partner blurs. Their investigation leads them to a warehouse on the outskirts of the city, where Richard hinted they might find evidence linked to Benjie's father. Inside, they discover old files and photographs, including one photo that sends chills down Benjie's spine. It's his father, standing with a group of powerful men in what appears to be a clandestine meeting. Among them is a man who, to Benjie's shock, is the father of one of his closest friends. They realize the corruption reaches into every corner of Benjie's life, even into people he once trusted. In the silence that follows, Benjie feels a surge of anger and betrayal. Annabel places a hand on his shoulder, grounding him, reminding him of the strength he possesses. Together, they vow to see this through, no matter the cost. They know they're getting close, too close for their enemy's comfort. Benjie's resolve is unshakable, but his close friends start to notice his preoccupation and emotional strain. His best friend, unaware of the true reasons behind Benjie's behavior, questions his dedication to the cause, suspecting he may be involved in something dangerous. This conversation rattles Benjie. He realizes that even those he considers his allies could be compromised if they discover the full truth. Annabel suggests they take a break from the investigation to give Benjie a chance to ground himself and assess his friendships, but their enemies won't allow them a moment's peace. That evening, as Benjie returns home, he senses he's being followed. The hairs on the back of his neck stand on end as he uses his gift to listen for any mental echoes around him. He catches faint, malicious thoughts. He's getting too close. We have to make him disappear. He confronts the men following him, barely escaping the encounter with only a few bruises. When he reunites with Annabel, he confesses the toll it's taking on him: the isolation, the paranoia, and the constant fear of betrayal. Annabel listens quietly, then assures him he's not alone. She pledges to fight alongside him, whatever it takes, solidifying their bond. Together, they resolve to expose the truth, for Benjie's father and for themselves. Their search takes them back to a figure from Benjie's childhood, a family friend named Harold, who was close to his father. Harold is now a successful businessman, deeply connected in the city. They arrange a meeting with him, hoping he'll shed light on Benjie's father's last days. But during the meeting, Benjie catches glimpses of Harold's inner thoughts. They should have let it go. The truth will only bring them misery. Realizing Harold may know more than he's letting on, Benjie confronts him directly. Harold's mask cracks, revealing a twisted expression of regret and fear. He admits he knew about the plans to silence Benjie's father, but he had convinced himself it was for the greater good. He tries to justify his actions, claiming Benjie's father was digging into dangerous territory that would have brought ruin to everyone involved. Hearing this, Benjie's heart breaks. This was a man he had once trusted, who had been a guiding figure in his life, now revealed as a betrayer. The emotional weight of the revelation is crushing, but Annabel stands by him, grounding him in the present, reminding him that they're closer than ever to exposing the truth. With Harold's confession, Benjie and Annabel finally have the missing piece they need. They've uncovered enough evidence to expose the network of corruption that led to his father's death, but they also know that their enemies will strike before they let the truth come to light. Late one night, as they're preparing to release their findings to trusted authorities, they're attacked by men sent to silence them. In the darkened alleyways, Benjie and Annabel fight side by side, their lives on the line. Benjie, using his ability to anticipate his attacker's thoughts, deflects blow after blow, determined to protect Annabel. She, in turn, refuses to leave his side, using her own skills to defend them both. They narrowly escape, managing to reach a hidden safe house where they can lay low. Exhausted and shaken, they hold each other in the dim light, feeling the weight of everything they've endured together. In that moment, their love solidifies, stronger than fear, more resilient than any obstacle thrown their way. Benjie realizes that with Annabel, he has found his true strength. Their journey is far from over, but he knows they're in this together, their bond unbreakable, their love a force that no enemy can destroy. In the wake of their escape, Benjie and Annabel retreat to their safe house, nursing their wounds and grappling with the weight of their discoveries. Benjie is haunted by the betrayal of Harold, a man he once saw as a second father. Annabel tries to comfort him, but the darkness of betrayal lingers in his mind, casting shadows over his hope. Days pass in a haze of frustration as Benjie and Annabel work to compile their evidence into a file that can't be ignored. However, they know their enemies are circling, watching their every move, and the feeling of being constantly hunted wears on them. Late one night, Benjie decides to confront Harold one last time, hoping for closure. Annabel begs him to reconsider, fearing that Harold could betray him again. Benjie, however, is determined. Under the cover of night, he approaches Harold's estate, where he finds Harold waiting, as if expecting him. Their conversation is tense, charged with resentment and regret. Harold pleads for Benjie to drop his quest, warning him that he's about to open a Pandora's box that will destroy not only his enemies, but also people he loves. This ambiguous threat chills Benjie to the core, and as he leaves, he realizes that Harold's warning was more than just a scare tactic. Benjie returns to Annabel with a heavy heart, struggling to understand Harold's parting words. Determined not to leave Annabel in the dark, he reveals the disturbing message, and together, they resolve to tighten their circle of trust even further. They're beginning to feel as though their allies are few and far between, and the intensity of the ordeal pushes their relationship to new depths. Each moment together is marked by an unspoken fear that it might be their last. Just as they believe they've accounted for all potential threats, Annabel's mother suddenly appears at her doorstep, having learned through local news that her daughter has been involved in dangerous affairs. Furious and fearful, she confronts Annabel, insisting that she abandon the investigation and distance herself from Benjie. A heated argument ensues, with Annabel defending her relationship and her mission, stating that her loyalty to Benjie and their shared purpose outweighs any personal safety. Benjie, overhearing their conversation, is struck by Annabel's fierce devotion. It's a defining moment for him, a realization of how much he means to her. That night, Benjie and Annabel sit together in silence, hands intertwined, their fears and dreams merging in a quiet pact to see this through together, no matter the cost. With their relationship reaffirmed and their resolve hardened, Benjie and Annabel continue to connect the dots of the conspiracy, each discovery, revealing a network of corruption far more extensive than they'd ever imagined. They uncover records of secret transactions and witness statements pointing to a shadowy figure who has orchestrated events from behind the scenes, a mastermind with far-reaching influence. The name they find shocks them. The true orchestrator is one of the most revered figures in the city, a powerful mogul who has gone to great lengths to maintain his innocent facade. Benjie feels a sick sense of déjà vu as he realizes this man was once close to his father, even seen as a mentor. Driven by fury and a need for justice, Benjie confronts the mastermind in his office, a towering building that overlooks the entire city, a fitting metaphor for the man's seemingly untouchable power. As Benjie faces him, the man seems unfazed, even amused, by Benjie's accusations. He offers Benjie a choice: walk away with a hefty sum of money and a promise of safety, or continue the fight and risk losing everything. Benjie refuses without hesitation, but the mastermind warns him that he will regret his decision. As Benjie walks away, he can't shake the feeling of doom settling over him, yet he feels a newfound clarity. He knows now that he's fighting the right battle. In the days following Benjie's confrontation, he and Annabel prepare to bring all their evidence to the authorities, determined to see justice served. However, before they can move forward, they find themselves ambushed by a group of masked men. These men are highly trained, their movements precise, leaving no doubt that they were sent by the mastermind himself to eliminate them once and for all. A high-stakes chase ensues through the winding alleyways of the city, Benjie and Annabel running for their lives as they dodge gunfire and evade capture. At one point, they're cornered, but Benjie uses his telepathic abilities to anticipate the attackers' moves, managing to get them out by the skin of their teeth. As they finally find temporary refuge, Benjie realizes how close they came to losing everything. Bruised and battered, Benjie and Annabel make a final decision. They will go public with everything they've uncovered, broadcasting the evidence across multiple media outlets, making it impossible for the mastermind to silence them without exposing himself further. They know the risks, but they also know that this is their last shot. They spend the entire night piecing together their final presentation, writing statements, and double-checking the evidence. Just as dawn begins to break, they hit send, unleashing the files to every major news outlet, police department, and social media platform. As the story goes live, Benjie and Annabel brace for the repercussions, knowing they've just sparked a storm that will change their lives forever. In that moment, they're more than just lovers. They're a force for justice, bonded not only by love but by a shared purpose that has defined their very souls. The decision to go public with their evidence creates a whirlwind of chaos. The media frenzy is intense, with the mastermind's name plastered across headlines and news broadcasts. The city, once captivated by his clean image, is rocked by the scandal. Within hours, authorities and citizens demand justice. The police department is inundated with calls, while activists flood the streets demanding an investigation into the corruption that has finally come to light. Meanwhile, Benjie and Annabel stay hidden, knowing that while they've set the wheels of justice in motion, they are still vulnerable targets. They watch the news from their safe house, hearts pounding as each headline brings the reality of their actions into sharper focus. Despite the risks, a sense of satisfaction fills them. They've forced the truth to the surface, a truth that can't easily be buried. In this moment of triumph, Benjie and Annabel share a deep conversation about their journey, the sacrifices, and what brought them together. For the first time, they openly discuss their dreams for the future, a future they're not certain they'll see but can now imagine with clarity. As the mastermind's reputation crumbles, he retaliates with cold and calculated ruthlessness. With his financial resources and influence, he orchestrates a smear campaign against Benjie and Annabel, twisting their actions and painting them as criminals in a fabricated story that accuses them of orchestrating the conspiracy. News outlets, bribed or threatened into compliance, start publishing stories portraying Benjie and Annabel as frauds, eager to profit from the city's vulnerabilities. The public, once supportive, is split. Doubt creeps in, and some even turn against them. Annabel is heartbroken by the betrayal, especially when she sees former friends and colleagues buying into the lies. Benjie, however, encourages her to remain steadfast, knowing that they are close to justice and can't afford to let public opinion shake their resolve. With each passing day, the mastermind's influence becomes more apparent as higher officials publicly denounce Benjie and Annabel, all but condemning them in the court of public opinion. Feeling the pressure of being branded as criminals, they realize they need more than just evidence. They need allies. Benjie and Annabel reach out to the few trusted connections they have left, hoping someone will still believe in their cause. Just when they think they've exhausted their options, they're approached by a retired investigator, Detective Renz, who has long suspected the mastermind's involvement in corrupt dealings. Renz had tried to expose him in the past but was silenced, losing his career and credibility. Now, with the public eye fixed on the mastermind, Renz sees a chance for redemption. Together, the three of them strategize their next steps. Renz offers to arrange a covert meeting with a team of reliable journalists who prioritize truth over sensationalism. With Renz's experience and connections, Benjie and Annabel finally see a way to strengthen their position. Their collaboration with Renz gives them renewed confidence, and they focus on presenting the truth to these journalists, hoping to counter the lies in circulation. As the meeting approaches, tension is palpable. If this plan fails, their last chance at justice will disappear. In the quiet moments before the meeting, Benjie holds Annabel close, vowing that no matter what, he will protect her and make sure they find a way to a life beyond the mastermind's reach. The night of the meeting arrives, and they meet Renz and the journalists at a hidden location. The journalists, a skeptical but curious group, are given access to Benjie and Annabel's evidence, including recordings and documentation that had previously been suppressed. Their eyes widen as they realize the depth of the conspiracy, and slowly, the doubts melt away. Just as they are about to publish the story, the mastermind, sensing imminent danger, sends a squad of mercenaries to intercept the meeting. A sudden explosion shatters the calm, and Benjie and Annabel find themselves under siege once again. Renz, drawing on his past experience, takes control, guiding everyone to safety while Benjie and Annabel cover their escape. In the frenzied moments that follow, Benjie's telepathic abilities sharpen as he senses each move of their pursuers, dodging attacks with precision. The battle is fierce and unrelenting, with bullets flying and lives on the line. Benjie's only thought is to protect Annabel, and together, they fight their way through the chaos, refusing to let fear consume them. Finally, after a relentless chase, they manage to evade their attackers. The journalists, though shaken, are moved by the lengths Benjie and Annabel are willing to go to expose the truth. They promise to deliver the story as it is, complete with the raw, harrowing details of the evening. As the dawn breaks, Benjie, Annabel, and Renz look out over the city, knowing they've taken one step closer to bringing down the mastermind. Though exhausted and wary of the fight ahead, their spirits remain unbroken. They've sparked a fire, one that cannot be easily extinguished, and they prepare for the final phase of their journey, knowing they are stronger together. With the events of the previous night fresh in their minds, Benjie, Annabel, and Detective Renz regroup, determined to finish what they started. The journalists, now armed with undeniable evidence, waste no time in publishing the story. As the exposé hits the newsstands and online platforms, it goes viral. People across the city and beyond are stunned by the detailed account of corruption, deceit, and cover-ups orchestrated by the mastermind. The impact is seismic. Within hours, officials tied to the mastermind's web are forced to resign, while public outrage reaches a fever pitch. Protests erupt outside government buildings, with people calling for accountability and justice. Benjie and Annabel watch the city rally behind them, moved by the overwhelming support, but knowing that their fight isn't over yet. The mastermind, though weakened, remains a formidable opponent, and they know he won't back down quietly. Behind the scenes, however, the mastermind is orchestrating a final plan to regain control and silence Benjie and Annabel permanently. He calls in every favor, from corrupted officials to hired mercenaries, preparing to launch an all-out assault on those who dared to defy him. The mastermind's influence still runs deep, and he uses it to set a trap for Benjie and Annabel. A carefully planted rumor reaches them, suggesting that there's one last crucial piece of evidence hidden in an abandoned factory on the outskirts of the city. A piece that could bring down the mastermind once and for all. Driven by a mix of hope and determination, they decide to investigate, despite the lingering suspicion that it might be a trap. They arrive at the factory in the dead of night, its haunting silence broken only by the echo of their footsteps. The darkness is thick, and the air feels heavy, as if holding its breath. They move cautiously through the building, scanning every corner. Suddenly, Benjie senses a presence, his telepathic ability alerting him to the danger lurking in the shadows. In an instant, armed mercenaries swarm the factory, surrounding Benjie and Annabel. They realize too late that they've walked straight into a trap. With no escape in sight, they brace for the worst. But instead of panic, an unexpected calm settles over them. They exchange a look, their resolve stronger than ever, knowing they'll face whatever comes next together. A fierce fight ensues. Benjie uses his telepathic skills to predict the mercenaries' movements, guiding Annabel to dodge attacks and take down their assailants one by one. Their teamwork is flawless, a testament to the trust and understanding they've built. Despite the overwhelming odds, they manage to fight their way through, escaping the trap battered but alive. As they make their way back to the safe house, they realize that they're running out of time. The mastermind is growing desperate, and they must take decisive action before he launches his next attack. Back at the safe house, Benjie and Annabel tend to each other's wounds, the intimacy of the moment highlighting the depth of their connection. In the quiet hours of the night, they finally open up about their fears, dreams, and the sacrifices they've made. Annabel confides in Benjie about the life she had envisioned before her world was turned upside down, while Benjie speaks of his past struggles and the burden of his telepathic abilities. The walls around them seem to melt away as they share these vulnerable moments. Benjie takes Annabel's hand, his touch grounding her amid the chaos. The emotions that have been building between them come to the surface, and, in that moment, they both realize that they are each other's safe haven in a world filled with danger and deceit. Their bond solidifies, not just as allies but as two souls who have found solace in each other. They know that no matter what happens, they will face it together. With this renewed strength, they make a plan for their final stand against the mastermind, determined to end his reign of terror once and for all. The city awakens to the news that a massive protest is planned outside the mastermind's headquarters, a movement sparked by Benjie and Annabel's relentless pursuit of justice. Thousands gather, demanding an end to the corruption that has plagued their lives for far too long. With the mastermind's power crumbling and the city united against him, he becomes increasingly unhinged, desperate to restore control. Benjie, Annabel and Renz, knowing this is their last chance, infiltrate the mastermind's estate. The estate is heavily guarded, but they move with purpose and stealth, navigating through security checkpoints and narrowly avoiding detection. As they near the mastermind's office, they overhear him on a call, issuing orders to discredit and eliminate anyone involved in the exposé, including the journalists and Detective Renz. The three of them burst into the room, catching the mastermind off guard. A tense standoff ensues as they confront him with the truth, laying bare the horrors he has inflicted upon the city. Benjie's telepathic powers allow him to anticipate the mastermind's every move, giving them an edge in this battle of wits and words. But the mastermind refuses to go down without a fight. In a last-ditch effort, he reveals a hidden weapon, threatening to kill them all if they don't surrender. The air crackles with tension as they stare each other down, the weight of the moment pressing down on them. Just as all seems lost, Renz steps forward, disarming the mastermind in a swift, decisive move. The police, alerted by the commotion, arrive on the scene, and the mastermind is finally apprehended, his reign brought to an end. The city, at last, breathes a collective sigh of relief as justice is served. As the sun rises over the city, Benjie and Annabel emerge from the mastermind's estate, exhausted but victorious. They share a quiet moment, looking out over the city they have fought so hard to protect. The journey has tested them in ways they never imagined, but it has also brought them closer than they ever thought possible. In each other, they have found love, strength, and a future filled with promise. And as they walk away hand in hand, they know that they are ready to face whatever comes next, together. In the days following the mastermind's arrest, the city erupts in celebration. Benjie and Annabel's efforts have unearthed the city's darkest secrets, and their courage has united people from all walks of life. Journalists, once silenced by fear, now openly broadcast the downfall of the city's most powerful criminal, while ordinary citizens find their voices empowered to speak out against injustice. However, even in victory, Benjie and Annabel realize that the struggle is far from over. As public officials scramble to cover their tracks and protect themselves from further exposure, new obstacles arise. Some of the mastermind's former allies, desperate to regain control, begin quietly plotting their comeback, and subtle threats start to appear, targeting not only Benjie and Annabel but also their loved ones. For Benjie, these threats weigh heavily. The emotional toll of protecting Annabel and his family begins to gnaw at him. He feels an overwhelming sense of responsibility, aware that his actions have endangered the lives of those closest to him. Annabel, sensing his turmoil, stands unwaveringly by his side, offering words of reassurance. She reminds him that they are not alone, that together, with the city's support, they can face any threat. In the quiet hours, as they share whispered conversations and stolen glances, they draw strength from one another, realizing that their love has become an anchor in the storm they face. This deepened bond steels them for the challenges ahead, making them more determined than ever to see justice fully served. With the mastermind in prison, the remaining threads of the conspiracy begin to unravel. Benjie's telepathic powers prove invaluable as he works alongside Detective Renz, investigating the mastermind's inner circle and the powerful figures who enabled his crimes. Using his abilities, Benjie picks up on the subtle cues and unspoken thoughts of suspects, uncovering hidden alliances and secret plans that might have otherwise gone unnoticed. Their investigation leads them to prominent politicians, businessmen, and even law enforcement officials who were deeply entangled in the mastermind's operations. Each new revelation is met with shock and disbelief as the city learns just how pervasive the corruption had become. But as they close in on these allies, the stakes grow higher. Those who once feared exposure now seek revenge, orchestrating covert attacks to silence Benjie, Annabel, and their allies. One evening, as Benjie and Annabel are returning home, they are ambushed by a group of masked men sent by one of the mastermind's closest allies. Forced into a dangerous car chase, they narrowly escape through the city's winding streets. The experience leaves them shaken, but even more resolved to dismantle the remnants of the criminal network. They recognize that this battle is not just about justice. It is a fight for their lives and the future of their city. The city's courthouse becomes the battleground for the final showdown. With the mastermind's trial set to begin, the public eagerly awaits the outcome, placing their hopes in Benjie and Annabel's hands. Reporters, activists, and supporters gather outside, a testament to the city's faith in their pursuit of justice. The courtroom is tense, every seat filled with people who want to see the mastermind and his accomplices face the consequences of their actions. Inside, Benjie, Annabel, and Renz present their case with an ironclad determination. They reveal the overwhelming evidence they've gathered, detailing the mastermind's crimes and exposing his allies' betrayal. Benjie's telepathic abilities give him an edge in the courtroom, allowing him to detect the deception and lies hidden within the mastermind's legal team strategies. Every attempt by the defense to twist the truth is met with swift rebuttal, as Benjie and Annabel work seamlessly together, countering each argument with irrefutable proof. As the trial unfolds, it becomes clear that the mastermind's influence is finally crumbling. Former allies, desperate to avoid prison sentences, turn against him, testifying to save themselves. One by one, they reveal the mastermind's darkest secrets, providing a chilling insight into the extent of his power. The mastermind, once untouchable, is left isolated, with no one willing to defend him. His arrogance fades, replaced by a sense of desperation as he realizes that his empire is collapsing before his eyes. Outside the courthouse, the crowd's anticipation grows with each passing day. People gather with signs and banners, chanting for justice and cheering for Benjie and Annabel's bravery. For the city, this trial is more than a legal proceeding. It is a symbolic moment, a chance to heal from years of corruption and reclaim their sense of security. The final day of the trial arrives, and as the verdict is read, a palpable silence fills the courtroom. The mastermind is found guilty on all charges, sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The announcement sends a wave of relief through the city, and the crowd outside erupts in cheers. Strangers embrace, tears of joy streaming down their faces as they celebrate the victory that seemed impossible just months ago. It is a day of triumph, a moment that will be remembered as a turning point in the city's history. For Benjie and Annabel, the victory is bittersweet. They have endured more than they ever anticipated, and the journey has taken its toll. But as they stand together, hand in hand, watching the crowd celebrate, they know that their efforts have brought about lasting change. They have fought for justice, not only for themselves, but for every person in the city who has suffered under the mastermind's rule. In the days that follow, the city begins to heal. New leaders rise, committed to restoring integrity and transparency. Benjie and Annabel are hailed as heroes, their bravery and resilience inspiring others to stand up against corruption. Their story becomes a beacon of hope, a reminder that justice is worth fighting for, no matter the cost. With the mastermind defeated and peace restored, Benjie and Annabel can finally look to the future. They plan a quiet life together, free from the shadows of the past, ready to build a future filled with love, laughter, and new beginnings. As they walk hand in hand into this new chapter, they know that they have not only changed the city but also each other's lives forever. In the end, they have found not only justice but also the kind of love that withstands even the darkest of trials, a love that will guide them through whatever challenges lie ahead. After the climactic trial and the mastermind's conviction, the city is abuzz with renewed hope, inspired by Benjie and Annabel's relentless pursuit of justice. Their names are on everyone's lips, and they're hailed as champions of the people. But even as they soak in the gratitude of a liberated city, the personal cost of their battle begins to settle upon them. In the days following the verdict, Benjie and Annabel find themselves surrounded by well-wishers, each encounter a reminder of the lives they've touched. But amidst the joy and celebration, a lingering sense of unfinished business tugs at Benjie. Although the mastermind has been brought to justice, smaller remnants of his criminal network remain at large, clinging to the shadows. Benjie knows that they're wounded but dangerous, capable of causing more pain if left unchecked. Annabel, always perceptive, senses his unease. Late one evening, as they sit together on her balcony overlooking the city skyline, she places her hand over his and gently reassures him. She reminds him that their actions have already inspired people to rise against corruption. "You've given them hope, Benjie," she says softly. "They don't need a hero forever. They need a friend who will stand by them." Her words resonate deeply, bringing Benjie a sense of clarity. Yet, just when they start to believe that peace is truly within reach, one final twist shakes their world. A letter arrives, a chilling message and signed, from one of the mastermind's most loyal allies. The letter details a plot for revenge, aiming not only to harm Benjie and Annabel, but also to destroy the progress they've made in the city. This mysterious figure, hiding in the shadows, has sworn to uphold the mastermind's legacy and carry on his sinister work. Determined to protect each other and the city they fought so hard to save, Benjie and Annabel set out on a covert investigation, tracing the origins of the letter. With the help of Detective Renz, they worked tirelessly, piecing together clues, determined to root out the remnants of corruption. The closer they get, the more they realize that this enemy is both cunning and desperate, willing to go to any length to avoid being exposed. Their pursuit leads them to a hidden network operating beneath the city, a network that, although weakened, still has enough power to cause chaos. Benjie uses his telepathic abilities, tapping into the thoughts of those they interrogate, uncovering secrets that lay hidden within layers of deception. Finally, they pinpoint the location of their foe, a nondescript building near the outskirts of the city, serving as a front for the remnants of the organization. In a tense standoff, Benjie, Annabel, and Renz confront the mastermind's ally. The encounter is fraught with danger, with their opponent attempting one final act of sabotage to hurt the city and stain Benjie and Annabel's victory. But through quick thinking and bravery, they thwart the attack, capturing the last enemy and dismantling the final piece of the mastermind's empire. As they emerge from the battle, a wave of relief washes over them. They have closed the circle, ensuring that the threat to the city and its people is finally extinguished. The victory, however, is not only in bringing down the last vestiges of the criminal empire. It is in the strength they have found within themselves and each other. Their journey has not been easy, but it has forged an unbreakable bond between them. Back at home, as dawn breaks over the city, Benjie and Annabel stand together, taking in the quiet beauty of a new day. They share a sense of profound peace, knowing that they have faced darkness and come out stronger. They fought not only for justice but for each other, and now, with the weight of the past finally lifted, they can truly look forward to a future together. Quiet moment, they realize that their love has become the foundation upon which they will build the next chapter of their lives. They have gone from allies to lovers to lifelong partners, united not just by a shared purpose but by a profound, enduring love. And as they face the dawn of a new era, they know that whatever challenges the future holds, they will face them together, side by side and heart to heart. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the story. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more delightful stories.